Hello, my name is Kenneth A. Kinsley, and this is Finding the Words, the podcast devoted to text-based art and the artists who make it. With this podcast, I hope to shine a light on what I feel is the most underrated and underappreciated art genre. Words being featured in artwork is nothing new. Think medieval illuminated manuscripts or Dadaist collages. And it's not exactly hidden. Basquiat, Lichtenstein, Emin, Rouchet, Kruger, Holzer, even Andy Warhol and David Hockney have all featured text in their work. But despite all that, the genre itself feels kind of like an afterthought. Now, the most obvious problem with categorizing any art into genres is that expression gets pigeonholed. But sometimes reframing the groupings can help spotlight work you might not have known about or thought of in that light. Hopefully, through grouping text-based works together, we'll find there's more great work out there than we realized. It took me a while to realize that art with words was something I was interested in. I was a graphic designer for about 10 years, and before that I worked in a sign shop in college. And as a kid, my drawings always had captions or speech bubbles. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'd like for this podcast to be a space for others who are also drawn to art that isn't just drawing. And if you're more into other forms of art, I'm going to take an expansive enough view of what qualifies as text-based art to make sure there is as large a tent as possible. I just really sort of stumbled into this particular podcast concept. I started listening to the occasional podcast about a year or so ago, after years of friends giving me pointers about which ones I should check out. I found a lot of great art podcasts, and eventually I started looking for one about text-based art and discovered there wasn't one. I immediately thought about starting my own, but it sounded too daunting. I don't know how, I don't have the equipment, I don't know how to get any guests. So I sat on the idea for months, figuring it was just a fun thing to think about. Then I went with my family for the first time to Italy and visited the Uffizi and the Accademia, which is of course very different from what I'm usually drawn to, but I realized I just really love looking at and talking about and learning about art. I've been working on some of my own text-based art for years, which was kind of going nowhere and starting to feel like a chore. But after Italy, as soon as I got home, I got to work on making this thing happen. Maybe I'll go back to my own work. Maybe I'll just focus on this. Only time will tell. But as of right now, I'm just enjoying digging into this whole weird, diverse, mixed-up genre of artists and seeing where it leads. I'm not an art historian or a curator or anything close to an art world insider. I'm just a guy who likes words in his art. And I'm looking for some other people to come along with me as we discover new artists, maybe dig into some old favorites, but above all, we'll be finding the words.